Hi, welcome to my video on subtracting rational expressions with different denominators, part 1. We're going to subtract rational expressions this time with different denominators. So, subtracting rational expressions with different denominators, let's follow these steps. Again, I will add on the opposite first. Then I will follow the addition rules. That is, factor denominators, find the LCD, find equivalent fractions with the LCD, add the numerators, keep the denominator, and simplify by factoring the top and bottom, if possible, and canceling. Here we go. Simplify. That's just one dot right there. Let's make that a big dot. Example, simplify each. Notice I'm going to subtracting, so I'm going to add on the opposite. That's done. Now I need the LCD, so the LCD for 7 and 2 is 14. So 7, 2 times 7 is 14, so I put a 2 on the numerator. 2 times 7 is 14, so I put 7 in the numerator, because 7 over 7 makes it 1 equivalent. So I get 2 times x, 2x over 14, plus negative 7x. 2 times 7 is 14. Common denominator is 14, so I add 2 and a negative 7. 2x and negative 7x is negative 5x. And that's fully simplified. Can't do any more, because 5 is not a factor of 14. Number 2, again, because I'm subtracting fractions, I'll add on the opposite. So I'll add on negative x plus 1. That's done. Now I get a common denominator. So a common LCD for 10 and 15. Well, let's see. 10 is 2 times 5. 15 is 3 times 5. So I have a factor of 2, 3, and 5. And the highest exponent is 1. So that's 6 times 5. So the LCD is 30. Now, you didn't have to do all this if you knew that 30 is the least common denominator that 10 and 15 divides into. Remember, an LCD is the least common multiple. So what's the smallest multiple of 10 and 15? It gives you 30. And it's to give you smallest multiple of 10 and 15 to give you is 30. So 10 into 30 goes 3, so 3 on the top and bottom. 15 into 30 goes 2, so it's 2 top and bottom. And we multiply. We get 3 times 10 is 30. 3 times x, 3x. 3 times negative 2, negative 6. Add on. 15 times 2 is 30. And 2 times negative x, negative 2x. 2 times 1 is 2. Common denominator is 30. Write it down. And we add 3x and 2x. 3x subtract 2x is x. And negative 6 add on 2 is negative 4. And it's fully simplified. We can't cancel the 4 and the 30 because that's you're subtracting here, so you can't cancel. Okay, let's continue. Simplify. We're subtracting fractions, so when I subtract fractions, I add on the opposites. I'm going to add on negative 5. And I need a common denominator, so an LCD is, I have to have an x minus 1, and I have to have an x minus 2. So that means that this denominator is multiplied by x minus 2. And this denominator is multiplied by x minus 1. So if I put an x minus 2 on the bottom, I have to put that on the top. X minus 1 on the bottom, I have to put that on the top. That gives me, so whatever this denominator is here, remember, that's the one I'm going to put down twice here. I'm going to keep them in the same order. X minus 1 times x minus 2. They're there, even though x minus 2 is first here and x minus 1 is there. Keep the two of these the same. So 8 times x minus 2 is 8x minus 16. Negative 5 times x minus 1 is negative 5x plus 1. And the common denominator is x minus 1, x minus 2. And you add 8, subtract 5x is 3x. Negative 16 and 5 is a negative 11. And this cannot factor, so therefore that's the final answer. Notice when you add on the opposite and you change the numerator here, what you have is that you just have an addition. And when you're adding, it's easy to do. You're just adding them up. I like to add on the opposite. Again, check with your teacher. Your teacher probably might be doing a different pattern. Most teachers don't do what I'm doing, adding on the opposite first. Number 4, we're subtracting fractions, so I'm going to add on the opposite. I'm going to add on negative 2x plus 1. Now, let's look for the LCD, because in order to add fractions, we need a common denominator. Common denominator, I need an x and a 2, so it's a 2x. So I'll multiply the first fraction by 2 over 2. Multiply the second fraction by x over x. And the common denominator is 2x and 2x. So 2 times x squared, 2x squared. 2 times negative x, negative 2x. 2 times negative 3, negative 6. Negative 2x times x, negative 2x squared. And 1 times x is x. I have a common denominator, 2x, add up. 2x squared, subtract 2x squared, cancels out. Negative 2x, add on x is negative x. And we have a negative 6. And the only way we can cancel the 2 and the x here is to have a factor of 2 and x on the top. So that's the final answer. And number 5, we're subtracting fractions. So again, I add on the opposite. So I add on, that's a negative, becomes a positive, and that positive, rub it out, and make it a minus 3, or subtract 3. So I have the opposite added on. Now, what happens here, I want to find the LCD, but what we got to remember is that to find the LCD, we have to make sure our denominator is factored. So I have to factor out the x. So that's an x minus 4. X squared divided by x is x. Negative 4x divided by x is negative 4. And I see a 2 as a GCF. So 2x divided into 2x divided by 2 is x. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. So I added on the opposite and I factored my denominators. Why did I factor my denominator? Because I want to find the LCD. And I need an x. I have to have an x minus 4. So what's in this denominator here that's not here? So that's a 2. So I can put the 2 there, but really, so again, I have to have this denominator. Is this denominator in this LCD? Yes. X is there, x minus 4 is there. Is this denominator in the LCD? Do I have a 2? Yes. Do I have an x minus 4? Yes. So, what do I multiply the first fraction by to get this LCD? I need a 2. So it's top and bottom. What do I multiply this one by to get this LCD? I need an x, top and bottom. So multiply. The common denominator, keep the denominator the same. So 2 times x squared plus x is 2x plus 2x squared plus 2x. X times x minus 3 is x squared minus 3x. I have the same denominator, so 2x times x minus 4, and I add 2x squared, add on 1x squared is 3x squared. And 2x subtract 3x is negative x. So I see the numerator got an x as a GCF, so 3x squared divided by x is 3x. Negative x divided by x is negative 1. And I have a 2x times x minus 4 denominator. And notice the x is a common factor, so x cancels into x once. X into 2x goes 2. And I get 3x minus 1 over 2 times x minus 4. And that's fully simplified. Okay, we have another page to do. Let's do some more. And again, the more practice, the more you do, the better you normally get. Because you keep repeating. When the repetition means everything in math. Repeat. We're subtracting fractions, so the first thing I do is add on the opposite. So I add on a -2. Now, these two denominators look like they're the same, but I need descending order. So if I write it in descending order, then I'll be able to factor it. So that's 2 subtract x, so that's a -x plus 2. Notice I switch these around, but I don't change the sign because I'm not transposing. That's a -x all over x minus 2, -2. I remove the negative because I shouldn't have a, I don't have a negative in my leading term, so I remove the negative, I get a x minus 2. Removing the negative changes the negative to a positive and the positive to a negative. So that gives me negative over negative is a positive. So that's 2 all over x minus 2. Now that I have the same denominator, I will add my numerators, -x plus 2 over x minus 2. And I see that I have a negative in my leading term. But notice that this is -x, this is a positive x. This is a positive 2, that's a -2. So it looks like the numerator and the denominator are the opposite of each other. Negative, positive, positive, negative. So let's take the negative out of the numerator. So -x divided by negative is x. Positive 2 divided by negative is -2. And when we do that, we notice that x minus 2 cancels. So the answer to this is -1. Number 7. We have to subtracting, so we're going to add on the opposite. So that's an add on -x, and we'll make this a -1. Opposite is added on, so adding is better than subtracting. Now I have to factor my denominators to get the LCD. So x squared minus 36 is x and x, 6 and 6 plus minus, because it's the difference of two squares. So it's -x minus 1. And this is a 1, so this one factors as a double bracket. And x squared is x and x. The factors of 6 to give you a 7 must be 6 and 1. 3 and 2 won't give you a 7. Because the product is because the product is -6, the product is 6, the sum is -7. So 6 times 1, that means the 6 and the 1 would have to be negative. Why? Because when you multiply two negatives, you get a positive. When you add, you get a negative. So it's a -6 and a +1. And again, we check here, notice you got a 6. So one of these probably got a 6. So it's a +6 or -6. Anyway, we have the denominator, we have the opposite added on, we have the denominators factored. So the LCD, I have to have this denominator. The first denominator has to be in the common denominator. So the LCD got to have these two. So what's in this one that's not here? And the answer is x. Or, remember, you got to have one of each of these factors. And if there's a square on them, then you got to have the square because you got to pick the highest exponent. That means I have to multiply this denominator by x minus 1, top and bottom. I have to multiply this denominator by x plus 6, top and bottom. So now this, I'm going to write this denominator down twice. So this is x plus 6, x minus 6, x minus 1. And again, check with your teacher if you can do that. But I'm writing it down twice. Now, your teacher might say, put x minus 1, then x plus 6, and then x minus 6. And then put it down like that. X minus 6, x minus 1, x plus 6. but I prefer just to put the two of these down because I know that these three multiplications is going to end up to be these two, no matter what the order is. Now, multiply by 4. So x times x, x squared. The last term, -1 and plus 2 is -2. Outside is 2. Inside is -1. So 2 and a -1 is plus 1x. And FOIL on this one. So x squared times x is a -x squared. -1 times +6 is -6. And again, outside is -6, inside is -1, so that's -7. Just a fast way of doing the FOIL without writing it all down, but get used to it if you don't like it. And again, if you don't like it, just think about this. If you don't like what I just did, then take your time and go x times x, x squared. X times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. -1 times x is -1x. -1 times 2 is -2. And then add them. So if you want to do FOIL, that's first, outside, inside, last. Do it this way. And then do this multiplication on a sheet of scrap paper over on the side somewhere. And then put your final answer in. You don't have to do all this workings right here. Do this workings on a sheet of scrap paper and then put your final answer in. But what I do is go first, outside, and go, first, last, and then I do outside, inside, to get to 1. But we have the same denominator. So it's x plus 6, x minus 6, x minus 1, and we add. Notice because I'm adding, I have less chance of making a mistake. I added on my opposite up here, so the chance of making a mistake here is just straight addition. Done. Plus 1 minus 7 is -6. And minus 2 minus 6 is -8. A -2 can come out, but if you did take a -2 out, you get 3x plus 4 all over x plus 6, x minus 6, x minus 1. This will not cancel, so you could leave your answer like that, or you could have it like that. Either or, it would be the same. Again, practice, practice, practice. Again, I add on the opposite. Gets rid of the subtraction sign and makes everything much better. Less chances of making an error. Check with your teacher. If you like my video, click the like button, the subscribe button, and notification bell. Visit my website at www.mathfullyexplained.com to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. And that's the content that's on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.